Oh, geez. Okay, one more. Oh, no. I think everything's set up correctly, so it'll just start
Looks,
automatically once.
yeah, looks good on this end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we may already be live. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we are now.
Looks like it.
Okay, cool. And we've got one person waiting in the
Oh,
waiting room
nice.
for it. Hey, Calm Nature. Good to see you. Okay, cool. So we're live. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for this again. This is episode 5 in the series. And as of now, I have headphones, so hopefully we won't get as much of a reverb echo effect as last time. So, yeah. Let's see. Original sound for musicians is now on. And yeah, over the last week, things have been good. I've been continuing to work on the Brouwer etudes, focusing on 3 and 6 for
Good.
today. Yeah, I'm slowing down the scales a lot. We said last time 144
Hmm.
was like, don't go faster than that. Um, I'm still noticing mistakes there, so like I dialed it even further down to like
Okay.
50, and I've just been chilling at 50 quarter note, like 50 16th
Right.
notes,
The
so
144
100.
was your not your quarter note.
Right,
Right.
144 eighth notes, so
Yeah.
the equivalent of 100 eighth notes.
That's
So
fine.
yeah, that's been feeling good. Yeah, I think that the only like I do have one question about scales that
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe can be quick and like there's because like we've talked about kind of like the ideal hand position like in terms of like the fingers and playing in like a string set, right?
Hmm.
Like I M A. Um, then if I understand correctly, like M should just kind of reach back like if I'm playing those two notes to begin a G major scale, right? Like I stays in that position and M kind of pulls back to hit the sixth string, right?
Some of that's
And
going to
so
depend on the length of your fingers, for one. So
okay.
we can approach things from a very kind of generalized thing, right? And so the approach, for instance, you're starting a new student, brand new, and they're young,
Mhm.
right? They don't have a lot of fine motor control. I don't even worry if they repeat a finger at first.
Yeah, okay.
As
Yeah.
long as they're doing a good stroke, if they're using one finger, that's great.
Uh-huh.
So the idea of doubling it, like there's too many responsibilities to kind of absorb all at once. So you try
Uh-huh.
to keep things as very basic and simple as you can. And then as soon as each little thing comes up, then you can start fine tuning things based on individual anatomy, right? So like even holding the guitar, we say 45 degrees to the neck. And man,
Mm-hmm.
90% of people can do that, except for the 10% where maybe they have an anatomical thing
Yeah.
where there needs to
Yeah.
be an adjustment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for the most part, if you are moving between adjacent strings,
Mm-hmm.
you can keep your arm in the same position. It depends.
Okay.
Okay. So for instance, let me adjust my camera. Tried to make sure my studio was clean for today. Because I wasn't here all week. I was just at school all week. So if we're moving and we're going to be going, let's say we're doing free strokes, all right? And I'm going to pick G major just for fun, okay? If I'm moving back and forth, you can see that there is a mild adjustment,
Okay. Yeah.
okay?
Once you get to the fifth string.
Yeah. And the adjustment can occur
Mm-hmm.
either I'm going to move my arm and allow the finger that I need to be above that string, or as I move, see, right now my M finger goes to that string naturally,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Uh-huh.
if we're just thinking going up, we'll deal with coming down in a minute. So right now my middle finger's ready to play that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I can do one of two things. I can play, then move
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so that I is in position,
Mm-hmm.
or I can move when M prepares.
Yeah.
Either way, there's an adjustment, right? Because if not, do you hear how the tone got thinner?
Yeah.
So if I don't reposition that arm, then that free stroke trajectory is different. So I'm going to get a slightly different tone. Or I have to reach, right? So you can do it on either side. You can do it before, as you prepare, which is what I like to do.
Okay, when you prepare. Yeah.
I like to do it when I'm preparing the finger because what that allows me to do is, one, it's simple. My arm is placing that finger.
Right. So right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're anticipating what my question was going to be, I think. Like,
Right.
Do I shift before playing this B or after playing that B, I guess?
Sure. Right.
And that's what I figured the answer was going to be. But
In most cases, for me, it has been when I'm placing that finger on the next string, I want the arm being the mechanical device that's literally moving my fingers around. Just like if I was using a pick, right? So if I was playing with a pick, it's not like I'm going to reach and then move my arm, right? It's this downstroke moves my hand into position. So based on that, when I'm doing fingers, it's the arm that puts the finger into position.
yeah.
Coming down was your question. So if I'm doing... Okay, now, once I play this B, my index finger naturally is prepared on that string. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But that one's not.
Right.
I like adjusting as I change strings. So now M.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do it this way, right? It seems to lock into place for me when I come down.
Yeah.
So even though I falls naturally there, I would rather take care of that at the string change than to play that note then do it. Or
Yeah.
see how no matter what I do, like I would rather move my hand and arm when I change strings rather than play that note and then do it. Some people's hands, like a lot of it too, has to do with the length of the fingers. If people have some students may have a more balanced length to their fingers, so maybe they can do. How did I do that though? So if I just don't move my arm, watch my wrist. So here's the amount. I play with minimal arch. There's a little bit of arch. It's like that. This is straight. This is minimal arch. This is under arched, right?
Right.
And the arch is not defined by this. It's defined by that. Right? Sometimes we look at the wrong thing. Right. And again, based on someone's anatomy, they may have a thicker wrist, and it looks like it's an absolutely straight hand alignment. Right. So in this particular case, if I don't move my arm, do you see how I had to increase the amount of arch?
Yeah.
So I can keep my arm there, but that means I have to change the position of my hand. Is one way better than the other? I started at when I was in college as an undergraduate. My first teacher had me do more of what we call a fixed forearm. So I didn't really slide the forearm, right? So I would start, and I had a more deviated wrist, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And there were pluses and minuses to this, right? The first plus is no scratchy bass notes, right? Because I'm not going, right? So I didn't have a scratchy bass, so there's an advantage, right? And then as I went up, I adjusted the deviation of my wrist, right? So it wasn't this. So I had a couple of different hand positions. I had this one, and then that one. Later on, when I started studying with Dick Provo, what I needed at that point was different. Some people can, man, they played their whole life and then they do great. That worked for me up to a point. But once I reached this plateau in my scales, I could not get past. No matter what I did, how I practiced, who I studied, didn't matter. Because for me to do this, that's not naturally how my hand falls. So when I make a fist, and this is how you can kind of tell for yourself, you make a fist and you stick out your thumb and then you relax your wrist. Some people, like there was a buddy of mine in school, man, when he relaxed, that's what it did. So that's where his natural hand position is. But for me to do that, I have to push it.
Yeah.
So when I relax my hand, that's where it goes. And that's how we determine hand position. So the thing that changed my game was being able to slide my forearm. And by sliding that forearm, I gained a couple of different things. One, I didn't lay into the guitar as much. Because, man, when I was young, I like crushed that forearm. You know, and anytime I got tight, like in performance, I just clamped down hard with my right arm. That can be problematic because you're putting a lot of pressure on your ulnar nerve and all sorts of stuff. So it loosened me up a lot. Two, it allowed me to start thinking about the larger muscles in my arm. Whereas when I'm doing this, I'm never really thinking about my shoulder or my arm or anything like that. So I started to create a larger awareness of what was happening in my body. Right? So if I kept making a particular mistake, but the mistake was I'm locking up my shoulder, rather than and that's why I'm missing something, it's like, okay, so I starting to become able to now solve more of those kinds of issues in my own playing. So by simply sliding the forearm like this back and forth, and there are plenty of times where I still pluck with a little bit of deviation, especially if I want a particular color. Right? If I want something a little brighter without coming down here and get,
more of an angle.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the short story is you move when you change strings. Or right before the note you need. I like changing when I change strings because that keeps me moving. Yeah. It's also very clear and easy to remember. And it falls in alignment with any kind of pick style playing as well. You know? That's why, for me, that has always made more sense. I mean, I started as a pick style player as well as classical, so the idea of doing this and then having that arm be moving up and down the saddle of the bridge just seemed real natural. So this way, hey, it's exactly the same thing, just different fingering on the left hand.
Yeah.
Right? So let's hear your scale.
Great. Okay, so I think an important question is what if there are 3 tempo that I try to work at, the working tempo, the control tempo, and performance tempo, which one would you like me to use right now?
Right now, I want to hear your working tempo.
Okay, working tempo, and remind me, that's the slowest one.
Yep. So you can somewhat, again, try to keep things simple. You leave me alone and I can overcomplicate anything in my life. So I'm always trying to, what's the simplest way to conceive of this? Full speed, 3/4 speed, half speed.
Right.
And each of those are kind of variable, right? So our full speed may not be the desired speed. Right? Maybe we can't play that fast yet.
But it's the fastest that you're playing at that time.
Right.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm going to pick numbers. 50, 75, and 100. Let's say I can't play 100 yet. It's okay. I've been working at 50, and I've been aiming for 75. Great. Just keep doing the math. Halfway between 75 and 100. So what's my next realistic goal? Yeah. Right? Would be somewhere in the mid 80s right?
Yeah.
You get calculator out, do that. And then it's like, okay, so that's my goal. So once I'm able to establish that goal, now it's like 80 whatever and 100, where's the halfway point? So you're constantly shrinking that gap.
Yeah.
That's how I generally look at working speed, control speed. And the control is how the fastest I can play and still maintain control.
Right.
And then there's that, threshold area where I'm still working at that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's hear your working speed.
Working speed, something like this.
That looked and sounded really solid. Can you put a metronome on for me?
Yes. Let me make sure. I guess it doesn't matter if Bluetooth's on.
Nope.
Now that I have these wired headphones, these are great. Okay. Let me get my lesson thing up.
That's another thing that's nice about the open back is that you can hear the metronome.
Yeah, I can just hear it
while it's going.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so tap tempo. I don't know.
You should put it at 50 or 60 is fine.
Yeah, I think it's at about 50. That's definitely faster than what I was doing.
Good. Coming down was rock solid. Going up, you kind of like a little squishy with where the downbeat was. So before you start, there's a couple reasons for doing this. And I know I'm not in time with that. Right? So audience, forgive me. But we're going to start, we make sure you vocalize your rhythm so that you're going something like 1E and 2E and 1E and 2. And don't start until you're ready. So you may count through it a few times before you start. No one says you got to just drop a dime and go.
Yeah, that's
You know?
a really bad habit. I always just kind of jump right into it. And then,
I don't even want to say it's a bad habit, man, because there's plenty of times where you can do that. But if what you're trying to do is a little bit more surgical in your approach to say, okay, coming down I'm fine, but going up I'm a little squishy.
yeah, it takes.
Then in this, right, because sometimes you can just start playing. Other times you need a little bit more time to prepare to play.
Yeah.
That's all. So count out loud in time and then just start whenever you are solid with that rhythm.
Okay. So la ti do re, so la ti do re do ti la so. I've been singing more.
Dude, great solfege. That's awesome. Everybody's going to think I'm real mean.
Terrible pitch, but I've been doing it though. So.
We're not voice majors.
Re do ti la so de. Almost, yeah.
Excellent rhythm. Excellent rhythm. And dude, look, I mean, the singing thing, the fact that you're doing it is important, that you're sensating that and the pitch. And you'll find that the pitch may float a little bit. Who cares? It doesn't matter. That's something you got a lifetime to get better at, right? That was really good. The hand's looking pretty good. I am seeing still a little curl in that M finger, a little bit more than we want, okay? So what I want to do for a second, keep your metronome on, and I want you to go between quarter, eighth, and 16th at that speed. So you'll have quarters where you're just doing this to ensure that you've got the tip of that M finger out and as chill as possible. Okay? Before you start, give it a wiggle. Right? Just feel it on the string. Feel that looseness. Yeah, now we're just going to do it on open third string.
Oh, on open
Yeah,
third.
just take that left hand out of the mix. Good. Nice. There's a small amount there.
Okay.
Again, it'd be great if it was a switch. We just flip.
Yeah.
But the fact that each time we're seeing it, that's getting minimized more and more and more and more until it's not even going to be noticeable. Okay? So go ahead and do those in eighth notes now. Good, and now 16th notes. Good. Okay, the alternation looks great, and just doing that, I'm starting to see some minimization. Now, there's something I am noticing. You can go ahead and pop your metronome off for a second. All right. What I can see in the tip joint of M, when you pluck I, and I'm going to try to recreate this. As you pluck I, there's a little bit of a reciprocal, like, curl. It's like totally loose, and then as you pluck I, that starts to engage a little bit. So I want to try something. Hold up your hand. Good. If you can, point it right at the camera. Like talk to the hand. Right? Just move your I finger. You see how your M finger's not doing anything?
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I thought I saw a tiny bit.
You may see like any time that we have any sympathetic motion in the fingers, there's always a little bit, like you can see that M just barely move.
Yeah.
Right? Some finger combinations, like with M, you'll notice that A really moves. But you notice that when A moves, it's not curling.
Right. Yeah,
So that motion is okay. Because we have anatomical tethering of these tendons in the hand. But we can also have non-anatomical tethering. And what that means is, quite simply, we've done something for a real long time, and those fingers have become dependent on one another. Did you ever bar like that?
No.
Like where you'd kind of like put your second finger over your first?
I don't think so.
Good. I've never seen you do it, but some people, when they start barring, like kind of have a habit, like they're not getting a nice clear bar, so they kind of get Big Brother to help out.
Yeah.
So what's happened is, instead of actually developing the strength and coordination in that finger, they've now built in, that it's like, okay, so now I can't do a major chord, right? So what I'd like you to do, just for a few minutes, not right now necessarily, but is just work on shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Right? So that you can be aware of what's happening when the hand is not under pressure.
Yeah.
Right? So this way, you can see if there's any sympathetic curling. You can see, my M finger moves just a tiny bit, right? But you want to make sure it doesn't start doing that.
Yeah. I typically don't. I mean, I think that the shadow boxing, I don't see that very much.
Right. Now, can you just take what you're doing right now and apply minimal pressure to your third string and do that?
Yeah.
It's okay if you hit other strings. That's fine. Good. I saw it once, maybe twice. Now here's what I want you to do. Can you do it pianissimo? When you play at the softer dynamic, it almost doesn't happen. So, here's the new twist for this week. No, it a lot of time I did this kind of habitually when I was younger. I audiated it in my head. Whatever I was playing, I heard it getting louder in my mind. But what was happening is I was getting louder and faster. Right? And that happens to a lot of people. Because I was putting the energy in one direction, and some of it was getting like siphoned off into speed instead of volume. Because we're registering an increase in intensity. But if we're not really like super detailed about how that intensity is going to play out, then sometimes our hands start making decisions for us and they can't think, so they're going to definitely make a bad one. I meant to get louder, but instead I was getting faster. In this case, what I think is happening is you're generating a nice big sound, right, in your fingers. But some of that energy that you're using to pluck the string in volume isn't quite under your control. So what's happening is that as you pluck I, you're getting a little bit of flex in M. Okay. But when you play soft, you don't. So here's what I want you to try doing. No metronome, that's fine. 4 quarter notes, pianissimo, alternating, 4 quarter notes, mezzo forte. Back and forth. And what you're going to do is the sensation that your fingers have, pianissimo, you're not trying harder, you're just pushing the string further, not harder. Okay. And see what happens. And then back and forth, just 4 notes, slow. The last one was the only one I saw. Okay. Now, did you hear the tone that you had when you were soft?
It was pretty good.
It was really good. Right? It's like, ooh. When the tone changes as you get louder, that's these joints tightening up on you just a little bit. Because you can have that tone that you just got, right? That was a real warm, like, I think they used to call Pat Martino this. His nickname was the Velvet Hammer. I know it's a drink, but it's like you try to imagine the sound of a hammer that's wrapped in crushed velvet. And that's just like a sonic image to me. That's what you were getting. Is that nice, warm, round sound. But you notice that as I get louder, it's not changing. I'm just pushing the string further. So if I'm pushing the string further, I don't want to tighten. So it's almost like I have to loosen that tip joint a little bit more to get it. Right? So you could just take one finger at a time and even just like plant all 4 fingers right here. Real soft. I getting that tone that you just got. Now, when you're prepared, feel a little bit more push in the string, and you see how my index finger is, the tip joint is flexing a little bit? That way now we can maintain as much of that tonal quality as possible while you push the string further, and that's your volume. So it's not how hard you hit it. It's how far you're pushing the string. Yep. That's it. So now, take that idea, just move your fingers down and do that with M. So M is on the same string now. Right? Couple soft. Yeah, so soft is going to be like, hey, the motion's working, I'm getting the sound, everything's going great. Now just push that, yeah, that's it. That thing started growling, that's nice, yeah. That's the idea. Now you can do a slow alternation on that string because you've created that awareness, and you'll find that you can get the soft notes tonally under your control. Now just push it a little bit more. Yeah, we don't have to crush it, right? Now take that sensation from your fingertips right there and start playing the scale. Just like that. Looks great. Sounds great too. That's it. That's the idea. So now I want you can practice doing it in the scale, maybe 4 notes soft, 4 notes louder, soft, loud. Whatever fingering you're doing. Because what you're trying to do, just like with slow and fast practice, we're trying to, hey, how does this feel when it's really easy? And now I'm going to bring as much of that feeling with me to the faster that I can. But what I'm hearing is that you can play the scale, and the scale sounded nice and solid, good articulation, everything. But the tonal quality is changing unintentionally, right? So we're as we're getting faster, we're losing control. We haven't lost it. We're just losing it a little, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, now hey, congratulations. You can play the scale fast, but it sounds like it's too tight. So we want to make sure that as we're doing this, we're baking in as much of those kinds of motions as we can to keep that sound. So as you increase speed, I didn't get louder. So that way, if I want to get louder, right? So that we're not confusing in our fingers or in our ear the difference between I'm playing the scale faster or I'm getting louder. Or that you're doing like an accelerando or something. So you're really starting to kind of like, here's all your dials. Let me dial this one down, dial this one up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it looks good. And the fact that when you were doing this, it's like, oh yeah, there's no sympathetic motion to that M tip joint. If you did, then I'd say that's more of an anatomical thing than it is just a learned thing. That's all. But sounds good. So how fast? Just dip your toe in. Just play it fast. Don't worry about a metronome. Just let me hear what it sounds like fast. That's pretty good. I mean, there's some sacrifices in the hand, right? We're starting to see some stuff that we're trying to get rid of. But every once in a while, I'm a firm believer in this. Let me just see what it sounds like. Let me see what it feels like. Did that feel pretty easy?
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's feeling easier, and I'm usually not practicing fast anymore. Like, I don't really dip my toe into the fast as much.
Every once in a while, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say that every once in a while, it is okay to do. Because, again, you're dipping your toe in. You're not jumping in head first or taking a swim. You're just like, hey, let me see what's working. What's not. So right there, your rhythm's good, your speed's good, but we still see some of those artifacts that we're trying to eliminate, right? Because I could see, first off, I didn't see as much A-finger motion when you played fast, and I did see some straightening, but not as much as what I've seen before. So that, again, shows me that what you're doing is absolutely working in the right direction, so just keep doing what you're doing. You can start moving the slower and the middle speeds closer. You know, good. Okay. Did that kind of answer everything in terms of like your string crossing and? Yeah. The thing about playing the classic guitar is it has nothing to do with how hard you hit it. Not unless you want like that. If you're looking for a good old whack like that, then yes, that's like I'm pulling it real far and I'm gonna let it go. But when we're dealing with volume, it's all about how far you're pushing it, not how hard you're hitting it. Right? So the louder notes are really like, you can see that string. Like if I'm doing a loud bass note, you can really see how far I'm pushing that string. So if I want a loud chord, you can see the strings already kind of engaging. And then bang. So that way it isn't like I lose control of my sound. Place well, squeeze, bang, and then go. And that took a little while to practice because what I used to do was like whack at it, right? Trying to think it was hard, but it's not hard. It's how far. Cool? Good. Let's hear Brouwer III.
6. Okay, 3. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Cool. So this one is new. It's really fun, or not new, but I haven't played it in years. I guess it's fun to be practicing this one again. It's great. Okay. I think that I'm in tune. Yeah, just a tiny bit. And then again, working tempo or performance tempo? Like
This one, let me see what you've prepared in terms of your overall performance.
okay, sure.
Well done. Great rhythm, good clear articulation. I mean, that's a great start. Now, I know it's kind of like crafting. What do you mean it's a great start? I worked my butt off on that. What I mean is you've laid out a lot of all of the fundamental things that you need to deal with. So now you can really start dealing with details. However,
That's
okay.
Okay, yeah.
So here's what I want you to try to do. Just with open third string and first string. Don't even worry about your left hand. What I want you to do with M is we're going to go ahead and get that pinky moving with M and A.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the flipper. Okay. Great. Now what I want you to do, because it sounds great and it looks great. Now don't release the fingers until the thumb plucks.
Okay.
Your right hand looks great. Now, the next thing, allow the fingers to stop in that swing space. Don't feel like you have to move them all the way back. The idea of free stroke follow through, like I was just talking to somebody about this earlier today, is are there, like when I'm picking up the guitar the first thing in the day, right? And just as a great like way to dial things in, yeah, I'm pushing that, I'm allowing that finger to swing all the way back. Right? I mean, that sucker is touching the palm of my hand. Okay? I'm not forcing it back there. I'm just letting it go all the way back.
Okay.
Right? Same thing with M. I'm just going to push that sucker and just let it chill back there. But once I've done that with each of the fingers, I'm just kind of like, it's like,
Yeah, you've got
you know, I'm just kind of stretching a little bit, right? So it's okay to do that. But then, shortly thereafter, now I'm going to let it stop. And here's where it stops for me. Everybody might be a little different. You may stop here, you may stop here, so that the finger comes to rest in that space.
Yeah.
Right? So this way now, if we're doing this, it's kind of, my middle finger is like about halfway. Yeah. Now the real point of timing that I wanted you to do was to let the fingers release when the thumb plucks. So at this speed, it's like, well, we're retaining some of that functional tension, right? It's not excessive and it's not dysfunctional. We're just going to time the sequence for the fingers to release when the thumb plucks rather than right before it. Because if it does it right before it, we get an additional responsibility, right? Rather than one motion causing the next. Right? So now if we've got this, yeah, and what that is just, it's constantly reinforcing this. Right? So now this, right? Now we're going to do a little drill. So we're going to go slow, too fast. Just like that. Go ahead and do it with me. I know that it's going to sound off to anybody who's listening, but and then we do too fast, back to slow. Right. It's funny because anybody from the outside is like, why can't they count together? Right. This way, now what you're doing is starting to build in that motion. And your fingers are behaving themselves. Then you would do too slow, 4 in a triplet. So you'd have. Just like that. And then you can keep adding them on.
Yeah.
Once you got like 6 or 8, go ahead and jack the speed up a little bit. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 1, 2, 3, just like that.
Yeah.
Now go ahead and play just that first line. Started out great, was the last 2 chords where the pinky started doing that cool little inchworm thing. That's already working. Already working. Just now build that in. Okay?
Yeah.
So, with this one, I mean, you have a clear sequence with your arpeggio. It's great. For us to focus on getting the dynamic contrast to be as well, I mean, the question is how dramatic do you want this to be? I mean, that was a legit question. Like, how much drama do you want?
I think a lot. I mean, I feel this is a pretty dramatic, kind of edgy piece.
Oh, yeah. Dude, everyone who learns this the first time is like, I must be playing something wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Because who does it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, most of our studies are like, you know,
Sword.
yeah, I'm thinking, right, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, if we want that first one to be on the real loud side, then we're going to go right back to what we were just doing and feel each of those fingers push that string down. Just like that. Yep. You got a great snap. Like your fingers, man, when they relax, they like snap right out of the hand. That's awesome. Now I'm asking you not to do that and wait till the thumb plucks. So you'd have.
Yeah, I noticed that as I was doing that, I was like, oh no. Okay.
Yes. Good. Now, the louder you want to get... No, I think that immediately is already making a huge improvement. The louder you want to get, the slower you go, and the more you push the string. I mean, I'm going to go as... where is it harsh? I mean, I'm really exaggerating. This is way louder than I would do. And I take it right to the edge of harsh. And then I'm going to reel it back in. So try that. You may get a couple of ugly notes. It's okay. The first time. Keep them all loud. Good. Now, with that, that's where you start cleaning things up. So if I'm getting some nail bite or buzz, well, I'll tell you, you're getting, I mean, no instrument sounds pretty fortissimo.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it may sound awesome, but pretty and beautiful is not like a word that I would attach to, like, that, right? So when we're doing this, now, stay loud, but start to reel it in a little bit. next phrase, touch the string the same way, just don't push it as far. Just like that. That is clear.
Yeah.
That's very clear. Now you can start increasing your speed a little bit. So try to maintain that same dynamic contrast that you just had and allow the motions to go a little faster.
But faster, okay.
Man, that was real good. That's control. That's control. I mean, your right hand, everything, it was like everything was just working absolutely the way it was supposed to. The notes, there was still clear dynamics. Now we're getting closer to being able to get more into your expression, okay? It's okay to cross the threshold into speed to find out where that breaks down. Okay. But, it's just like finding your boundaries in life. It's like I just put my foot right over that line and I'm pulling it right back. Right. So now put on a metronome and find out where's that threshold where, hey, you can move your fingers that fast, but the sound goes or your hand starts doing something funky.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I think I was at about 66, so I'm going to try it at 72 next.
Wait, what'd you do? You just jumped right in head first, right? You didn't count.
Okay.
That's nice. That was 7. What was that?
72. 72.
Go to 78. Now we're going to push. All right. Now we're going to find out where it breaks down. Okay, I'm starting to see a little bit of that pinky action come back in, but that's okay. 84.
Okay.
Okay. Count before you start. Now, I'll tell you what, the hand looked the same as the last time, which is good. But at that speed, now the dynamics are getting a little muddy, meaning every time up till now, you had a real clear contrast. Now they're starting to blur. Like your pianos aren't quite as piano and your fortes aren't quite as forte. And that's natural when we start playing faster that we get dynamic compression. I sound like a recording engineer with dynamic compression, but we've been practicing with those extremes slow for a reason, right? Because as we get faster, some of this energy is going to turn into some of that energy. But this is where you would say, okay, now I can't, maybe I did it, sounded good, but not as big dynamics as the last time. So what you do is stay at that speed and make a bigger pause between your phrases. So you'd have this. Then you start bringing that gap closer together. Like put a whole measure in there. So if you're going 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and then just start like getting rid of some of those rests until finally you can just go 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and then you're fine. Okay? The only spot in here left hand wise, third line, second measure, when we've got F and E. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we want to try to think of the fingers moving as a unit. rather than layering. Right?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right? Just like that.
Okay.
Yep, so you'd have your first one. Yeah, that's it. When you're going slow, the layering sounds better. Where you're getting those cool little suspensions and stuff. Right. The problem is that that's not what your fingers are going to do fast.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a slow tune, absolutely right.
Okay.
But fast, you're going to be playing these like, essentially, if you practice them as chords, you're practicing the left hand. Right, that whatever it is. So that way, now the fingers have to work in opposing motions at the same time. Just like that.
Okay.
Just like that. Now, the last thing, now that you're getting that going on, go ahead and fret your F and your E. Now, just allow your arm to just kind of rotate. There you go. I got to turn that. There you go. Now, not from the hand, the whole arm. There you go. This way you can maintain a good alignment in the wrist and make sure that the arm isn't out too far or that we're doing anything that's moving us out of alignment.
Yeah.
Okay? Small little thing, just kind of check in on your left hand. Because if you find that when you look at your left hand, your fingernail, your like index fingernail is kind of staring right at you,
Uh-huh.
it's almost like it's kind of pointed up
Okay.
rather than pointed at me. That's a really simple thing on the guitar. When we look at our fingers, we're kind of used to looking at it like that.
Uh-huh.
So we kind of do that. When in
Okay.
reality, it's kind of pointed that way.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's it. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
What's next?
Yeah, I mean, if we've got time for it.
We got time.
Yeah, I could run through Brouwer VI.
Sounds great.
But, okay.
I'm going to mute, man. The furnace just kicked on, and it's just water heater, but it's loud. So you go ahead and start. Same thing. Don't worry about show me your working speed.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and play it.
Okay.
Man, that was well done. That was very well done. There are some things that we can do musically with it that might maybe refine your expression a little. The big thing is what happens when your A finger in the descending PAMI.
Uh-huh.
It's a little weird. Could you just like keep riffing the first, yeah, and watch your hand as you go, and tell me what you notice about your A finger. It's right when you start the second arpeggio. Do you see anything about A that kind of jumps out at you?
I can't really tell exactly what it is. I think it's curling like this, maybe? Like, is
There's
it?
something it's cool. Okay. It
Uh-huh.
there's your A finger is like jumping out of your hand.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you where I think it's coming from. It starts on the second note of the second beat, right? So you got my furnace is off, so I can turn this original sound off. So you got the first PAMI, man. That's great. Everything looks phenomenal. Sounds great. As soon as you go this note right here, and I'm about to pluck that M finger, that A finger just like pow, it like kicks out of the hand.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I think you do it.
As opposed to like playing it and staying in the hand, or
Well, as opposed to letting it fall out of the hand like this, or leaving it in the hand.
okay.
Yours like not only comes back, it goes out.
Okay. Okay.
And what I'd recommend, like just like find out where we are minute wise in the video, and as you're going back, just go right to it. Your A finger actually extends; it kicks out. Sorry about the blur.
Okay.
Come here, bang, and then so what happened? There we go. Your A finger goes pow out. When did you first learn this piece? It was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Yeah, 2017 or 16.
Okay.
2018 maybe.
I'm going to tell you a theory.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't release your A finger, so you forced it out.
Uh-huh.
And you got real good at it. Right? Because what I'm seeing is not just a release, but an extension. So it's like literally like it's kicking out.
Yeah.
But it's only right there, right? Let me see. So we got this. So what we're going to do is your sequencing of preparation is awesome. Now we're going to find out what we do with those fingers as we go. So shadow box for a second. So you got your thumb, P plucks. A is now prepared. Right on the first string. A plucks, M is now prepared on the second string. A is at rest in your swing space. M plucks, I prepares on the third string. M and A are at rest in the swing space. I plucks,
And A releases.
A and M release.
A and M. Yeah.
And you got that. Okay, now we're approaching the danger zone.
Right. Now.
A prepares, this is beat 2.
Right.
A prepares. When A plucks, it exchanges with I.
Yeah.
You're good there.
Okay.
A's at rest in the hand. Right here's where it goes wrong. M is on the second string. When you pluck, A comes out.
I see. Yeah, and that's totally.
Stay in the hand.
Okay.
And so that way you essentially have P, A, M, I, A, M, I, P.
Yeah.
Just like that. Beautiful. That's it.
Yeah.
Now do that slowly on the strings.
Go way slower. So I think the problem is I'm not releasing I when A plays. So then I'm in like this like
Now, hey,
wrong
look,
spot where
you
then-
can't be giving me the finger in the middle of your lesson.
Yeah. It shouldn't be like ever like that, right?
I'm teaching music ed guitar class, man, and it's the same thing. It's just like, these are all like clarinet players and singers and stuff. So it's like, all right, which one's your middle finger? Because to them, they're used to playing piano. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But this one! So as you're coming down, try just alternating A and I for a second on the first and third string. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. So on your open strings now you have P, A, M, I in exchange, good. A in exchange, great.
Yeah.
M, I. You can leave them in the hand if you want to.
Keep those in the hand. Okay.
And then when P plucks, they come back out. Then A, M, I, P. Yeah. So
and do the fingers release on the first
Yeah.
thumb or
Why not?
Yeah. Right.
So the idea with a timed release, right? When I'm doing an independent or individual release, I'm doing this so I know what it feels like to let go of that tension immediately, right? So there's no exchanging of the fingers. There's no nothing. It's every fool for themselves, right? So I'm just going pluck and let it go, pluck and let it go, pluck and let it go. When we time it, just like the timing belt on pistons in an engine, right? We have this. I have to release here, but in the next two, it's A, M, I, P, and relax. Or it's A, M, I, and exchange, there, release. Then let it go. The reason why I'm asking you to keep AMI in the hand is with 100% certainty, that finger won't kick out. Dick Provo used to call that a type 1 and a type 2 release. Type 1 is when at the end of like a arpeggio that moves in one direction, PIMA or PAMI. If they're in the hand, that's a type 1. If I release A and M in this case early, that's cool too. But that's called a type 2.
Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, other than in his method book, I've really never seen it anywhere. Both are fine. Same thing with a tremolo. Like some players, when they do a tremolo and they keep A, M, I in the hand, and they release when the thumb plucks. Like that.
Okay.
Some people naturally release there. That's a type 2. Right? So what I used to do was a type 1. So I would be doing... and leaving that finger back there, right? But what I found is my hand naturally wanted to let those fingers go. So if I was doing, and just they'll come out on their own like that.
Yeah, that's definitely where I've landed in the preference on tremolo for sure, and I think in a lot of pieces. So yeah, I'm finding it a little hard to keep them all in the hand.
Oh, I know. Now, again, when we're in the hand, we're not tight,
Yeah.
right? We just haven't let them go yet. Ideally, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it just depends on the arpeggio. Sometimes I do a type 1, sometimes I do a type 2. It depends on what arpeggio, how fast I'm going, what piece. There's like not one or the other. But the reason why I'm asking you to do this, even though your natural inclination is to go A, M, exchange, is it gives you a 100% insurance policy that A finger is not kicking out on its own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we just stick with that type 2, A, you might inadvertently release A early.
Yeah.
So at least for this week, right? If I were teaching like a young student in the absolute fundamental stages, when they were doing PIM or something like this, I'm having them do a full plant. It sounds god awful. Right? But what it does is it gets the arpeggio rolling, and they don't have to think about a sequence. It's just put them all down, pluck them, put them all down, pluck them. They do that for a week. After that, I get them doing a sequence. Pretty simple. This isn't that, but we want to make sure we're taking that insurance policy out. I don't want that A finger coming out inadvertently. So you can just stick with that bad boy. And then it's going to let go the first thumb. Bang. Yeah. Because if we held it in for the second A, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Right? Yeah. So we still want to be letting fingers go. The reason for the timing is when you're playing it fast, right? And we're doing this individual release. Dude, when you play this thing so fast, the timing, it's going to feel like that. It doesn't look like I'm holding them back at all, because I'm not. Right? so that way there isn't like a grip, right? Because as it gets faster, you're just not, the timing is still there. It's just not chilling in the hand. It's just going right back out. You know, that's the idea. I thought you did really well. You know, the thing about 6, and this is where we can kind of close, is he doesn't give you like there's really no dynamic.
Yeah.
So there are a few different approaches you could have. Obviously, the one thing we're not going to do is just play it all the same, right? And you're not. You've got some swells going on. The way I like to think, when there's no dynamics on the page, we can start it loud or soft, and that's kind of where your personal predilection lies. But what does it sound like when we move from that first chord to the next chord? Is that getting louder, getting softer, or staying the same? Like for you, when you play just that first, are you getting softer? Or are you going to go and now get louder?
I think louder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I think so.
real slow. I mean,
I can hear it now the other way too.
then I want you nice and just gentle, slow, but now the next one is a little bit more. Right? Build. There you go. Yeah. Are you getting louder for the next one? A little bit more. Good. More volume. Arrive.
Okay.
Now.
My shape is a little bit different, I think.
Totally cool. You can have whatever shape you want as long as that shape is clear. That's kind of my point, is not that you have to play it like that, but that you play whatever you do that clear.
Yeah.
Right? Because at least that way it's like, all right, I'm coming down. Now, your right hand was doing the funky stuff. We're not talking about that. We were talking about just how to shape, okay? So if you're doing this, or, right? You can get soft there. I like arriving at that A loud, so I can go really, like I want that to be like subito piano. It's such a cool change. So whatever shape you want, you could go loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. You could do a lot of things, but when you practice it slow, make sure that those changes are like really obvious. They don't have to be big changes, but whatever changes you have should be like, oh yeah, that's getting louder, or no, that's getting softer, or I'm staying the same, right? If you had that, maybe the next one's softer, whatever. So, kind of your three-way question, right? Is it getting louder, getting softer, or staying the same? Because that way, at least you've made a decision.
Right.
Okay? So, next week, 5.
Okay.
Okay?
5.
Yeah, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3. You already have 4 under the belt.
Yeah.
5. And then we already have 6. So we'll refine 6 musically a little bit more, check in on what's going on in the arpeggio. Then we'll hit 5.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. I hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, you too. I will say Chris
Oh,
is
yeah.
available for private lessons. If anybody wants to reach out, how can they contact you?
There's contact information on my website, which is just myname.com. But yeah.
Cool. Okay. And yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We're trying to do these weekly, so stay tuned for more. We've got a few people in the chat.
Oh, cool.
Regulars and good stuff. Kudos to John and Chris for streaming this. I guess. So,
Nice.
thank you all for watching. And yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
All right.
Y'all have a good weekend. I'll see you Friday.